spells, hocus pocus, wizardry. The next element in a fairy tale is often, not always, reoccurring numbers or patterns. And a lot of times fairy tales have a reoccurring number, 3, 6, or 7. So I'm just going to write here reoccurring patterns or numbers. And I'm just going to put 3, 6, or 7. And that's an example, okay? So let's just, before we start our book introduction, let's just review the elements of a fairy tale. Hassan, would you just read quick the first one?
Special language and once upon a time.
What's the other one I said? I said I'm only going to write one example of special language, but there were 2. Often fairy tales either or both begin with special language or they end with special language. Special language at the end of a fairy tale is often
The end.
it's the end or happily ever after. Have you ever heard that in a fairy tale? That happens a lot. So here, would you read the second one?
Good characters.
And what did we say good characters were? I used a word that begins with an I. A lot of times in a fairy tale, there's good characters. They're innocent. Do you remember
Innocent.
saying that? Right, a good character. If you have a good character, Tyree, what do you have?
An evil character.
Evil characters, for example. Look up here, please. Thank you.
Yeah, for example, dragons, evil witch, and an evil stepmother.
Hassan?
Royalty.
Right, for example.
A prince, king, queen, princess.
Mm-hmm. So here?
Poverty.
Poverty. And what did we say poverty was?
When someone's
Someone
struggling with a problem.
Not necessarily the problem. They're very poor. They're struggling with poverty. Poor. I think I said maybe they're trying hard to get food. Just make it through the day. Poverty. Magic. Oh, sorry. Tyree?
Magic.
Now what is magic? Give me an example of magic.
Whatever magic is, when an evil witch or wizard wants to put a spell on somebody and they trick the person to get taking it or giving it to somebody else to make them deadly or evil.
Hocus pocus. Hocus pocus. Making something happen that can't really happen. And the last one, Hassan?
Recurring numbers. Recording.
Recurring. You write the first one.
Recurring numbers.
Recurring patterns or
numbers.
For example.
For example, 3, 6, or 7.
Okay. And I told you all of this for a reason. After we go through our book and we look at it, and we have our second item on our agenda, which is the book intro, I'm going to ask you to look for examples of any of these elements in this fairy tale. And I'm going to give you Post-its to see if you can find any of these elements within this fairy tale. What I want you to do now, you don't need that yet. You'll need it later. Okay. But thank you. There you go. Okay, what I want you to do now is look at the cover. The princess and the dragon. Okay, let's turn to the back. Everybody look at the back. And I'm going to give you about 20 seconds. It should take you no longer than that to read the back. Okay. Turn to the inside back cover, and I'm going to read that to you. Understanding the genre, fairy tales. A fairy tale is a fantasy story set in once upon a time. Many fairy tales have royal characters, kings, queens, princess, or princesses. No matter who the characters are, the good guys always win in these stories. And many fairy tales end with, and they lived happily ever after. Okay. Open the book and turn to page 2. On on page 2, you're going to find a description of the icy springs. This is the village where the characters live. And the description says at the top of the page, if you'll find it, cold, colder, and coldest. Okay? In the village of Icy Springs, there were 3 kinds of weather: cold, colder, and coldest. What does that mean? What do you think that means the weather was like, or what the climate was like in Icy Springs? So here?
Minus 30 degrees.
Excuse me?
Negative 30 degrees.
It could be. So what did the weather feel like?
Like you're in an icy box instead of a hot box, icy box.
Okay. Like you were in an ice box. And look at the picture. Look at page 3. Look at the examples of the people that lived in the village. Here you go. Here's the princess. Here's the queen. Where's the queen? She's constantly in the what? She's in the tub, trying to stay warm. Look at the king. Look at the layers of clothing that the king has on. Without even reading that page, you can tell what the climate was like, what the weather was like in Icy Springs, from the way that they lived. Listen to that name, Icy Springs. If the weather was cold, colder, coldest, do you think that's an appropriate name for that village? Icy Springs? You don't. Tell me why. Share your thinking with us.
Because it says springs at the end. That's kind of the same. Spring, icy spring.
Okay.
And so they should have made it cold, icy winter or something else.
Okay. You're thinking of the season of spring, when things start to get warm. But there's also a spring with really cold water under the earth. That's really cold. Springs. It's like a spring. I don't think they mean the season of spring. Okay, turn to page 5. Look at the princess. Where is the princess sitting to keep warm? So here?
Fireplace.
In front of the fireplace, right? Day and night. Read page 5 for us. Hassan?
Day and night the princess imagined adventures she could have. But everything in Icy Springs lay frozen and dull until one day.
Uh-huh. So you think she's very happy?
No.
Why?
She wants to go on an adventure, but it's too cold for her to walk outside.
Okay. And dull until. Okay. Turn the page. Aha. The princess looks like she's going to have an adventure. What do you think her adventure might be? Tyree?
To go see the dragon.
Maybe. Go see the dragon. Does that sound like an adventure a princess might have? Certainly sounds like an adventure, right? Tyree? I see Tyree's thumb. So here's thumb up. Okay. So it looks like she's about ready to have an adventure. Turn page. Just by looking at the picture, look at the knights and the princess. Okay. Look at page 8. Racing outside, the princess found the knights, preparing to do battle. What did she say? Zahir?
Wait!
What else did she say?
Take me with you. I want to fight the dragon.
Is she off for an adventure?
Yeah.
Yeah. You think they're going to take her?
No, because she's a princess.
Mm.
And because they might not believe her.
They might not believe...
They might not believe her because they might not believe that it's a dragon.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to flip back for a minute to this page. Okay. Page 6 and 7. The dragon is a fire-breathing dragon. He's breathing down on the village. Okay. The village is made up of little huts with thatched roofs. That's like straw roofs on the houses. What do you think might happen because the dragon is breathing fire on straw or hay, thatched roofs? What's that?
Gonna catch on fire.
And who's off to save the day?
The princess.
The princess, hopefully. And the knights. Okay.
Are we gonna read it?
We're going to read the book. Yeah.
So we're
Okay.
just looking through.
But we're just flipping through, right? I don't know what's called a book. The
Book
book
intro.
intro. It's a book intro. It's sort of like you go through page and page and page, and you don't really read the book in its entirety. You sort of get an idea by looking at the pictures and some important words. Okay. Okay, so keep going through. And I want you to turn to page 23. And here's the princess sitting in the middle of the coiled dragon. And how has it changed? What change do you see? Is that here?
It looks like it's summer when she lives.
Oh.
Because I can see on the outside, I can only see like a tab of snow, and the rest is green grass and leaves.
Okay. So we went from icy springs to you looking at this picture saying, oh, it looks like summer. So there was a change somewhere. Okay. What I'm going to ask you to do is go back to the beginning. We're going to start to read this together to get us off on the right foot and get our engines going. And then you're going to read it silently. And I'm going to give you Post-its. And as you read, what I want you to do is just jot. You don't have to write lots of details. Just do a jot if you find any of these elements of the fairy tale as you're reading. Okay, let's go back to page 2 and 3. Question?
Yeah. There's really another
Don't
question.
give up the story. Don't give up the story. Keep it in your head, okay? All right. On page 2. In the village of Icy Springs, there were 3 kinds of weather: cold, colder, and coldest. No matter how the villagers fed their fires, the cold crept up through the rocky ground, chilling their bones. Is that here?
In the frosty chambers of Icy Springs, Icy Springs Castle at the top of the great hill, the king, dressed in many layers of clothing. He could barely walk. The queen spent most of her time in her bathtub.
The poor servants carried water all day to keep the bath warm. That's all.
But high in her tower, the black-eyed princess didn't care about the cold. What she wanted was adventure.
Good self-correction. What she got was boredom. Every day, the king patted her head and told her to be patient. Tyree?
A prince was bound to come, he said, and carry her away to warmer lands. Every day, the queen shouted from her tub that she must learn how to courtesy and how to embroider a cushion like a proper princess. Every day, the princess tried to obey her parents.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Go back to the line where you said, every day the queen shouted from her tub that she must learn how to... That looks like the word courtesy, but it's really the word curtsy. And that's how princesses bowed in the old days. They didn't bow. They did something like this called a courtesy. Look at that word, courtesy. Okay, and another word, and how to embroider a cushion. Embroider is like needlepoint. It's sort of close to the sewing,
It's like
knitting
blue,
kind of family.
It's like when you put like you have a little blue line.
Embroidery, right, that's embroidery. Okay, so embroider and curtsy. Look at those 2 words and say them with it. Curtsy, and look at them, embroider. Embroider, right. You're going to start with but every night, and you're going to read the book silently to yourself, and I'm going to come around and listen to you whisper read, maybe just a paragraph or so. Okay? Go ahead. And here's your Post-its.